So the hater was enjoying his Sunday, and then I went on to the internet and I read a couple of things about wrestling that pissed me off. Primarily, I saw this thing that Bret Hart did an interview or something talking about who helped him and who didn't help him, like anybody gives a flying fuck. The problem here is not about Bret Hart, who hasn't been relevant in about 30 years. It's about the fact that wrestlers are so entitled that nobody is willing to put in the work to put themselves over, for one, and two, to make wrestling good. It's almost as if everyone is okay with sucking ass and then being told they're good when they're not. It's gotten to the point that when someone, like let's say Vincent Kennedy McMahon, tells you either directly or indirectly that you suck ass, that instead of proving him wrong and being like, look, I don't suck ass, I am awesome. Instead, you quit, you get fired or whatever, then you go somewhere else and you just say, I don't suck ass. And then the people there are surrounded by more ass sucking wrestlers. So in comparison, you look good. And then you kind of validate your own bullshit, right? You co-sign your own bullshit, as we say in some circles. Let me put it to you this way, all right? Kofi Kingston, there's a little story that goes a little something like this. Vince McMahon randomly attacks Kofi Kingston in a wrestling type manner on an airplane or something, right? Kofi Kingston gives it to him back. He starts wrestling with good old ass Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon likes this because Vince McMahon is a very peculiar guy. He likes people that stand up for themselves. He likes people that have a fire in them because he understands that there's money to be made through these people, right? On the other hand, let's take someone like Daniel Bryan or Swerve Strickland, right? These guys suck ass. For one of them, Daniel Bryan, Vince McMahon gave this guy everything, and then he dropped the ball completely by getting injured. You know, not his fault necessarily, but clearly it invalidates the decision, right? You don't give the title and the moment to the guy that's going to be gone in a week, right? Which is exactly what happened after Mania 30 up in this bitch. So there you have it. There's that. Number one, cucks. Number two, Swerve Strickland. This guy amounts to absolutely nothing. Just like every other wrestler his age, he has aspirations to do something else, right? He thinks he's a talented rap guy, even though he fucking isn't, right? So they give him a rap gimmick. It falls flat completely. They put him with another untalented rapper, Top Dollar. Then they take Ashanti the Adonis, who is in contention for being the biggest jobber of all time, and B-Fab, who is undoubtedly the biggest female jobber of all time. They put them together in this group called Hit Row. It's fucking cringe, right? Someone should have told them, should have been like, please don't go out there and embarrass yourselves. This is fucking humiliating. All of you are shit at this rap thing, right? Somebody should have told you this many, many years before, but in today's America, when people are told they suck, they always take it as like, they just want to hold me down. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes you gotta be humble, you gotta be realistic and realize you suck. But why do that when you can just cry all the way to Tony Khan and he'll tell you you're good, right? Dean Ambrose, clearly not a great wrestler. I mean, let's call it like it is, right? Vince McMahon sees this immediately and he's like, we're gonna have you get your ass beat by Nia Jax. So he quits, he goes to AEW, he says, I'm good and I'm dangerous. And then Tony Khan co-signs his bullshit. The dumbass fans, all 200,000 of them, believe this to be true. And all of a sudden, Jon Moxley is like a serious wrestler again. Meanwhile, in his own free time, he's going to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments and losing to white belts, right? This is embarrassing and he suffers no consequences of this. Like, if you work for me in a tough guy role, and you get your ass beat by like a white belt or whatever in jiu-jitsu, next night on Dynamite, you're jobbing to fucking Anthony Ogogo. You're jobbing to whoever the fuck is in front of me first. I'm making a star, and they're going to be made at your expense. But that's the problem, right? This goes all the way back to Bret Hart and probably even before that. But this weird entitlement of, I believe I'm good. If you don't agree, you're wrong, and I should be treated the way that I think I should be treated. The reality is, and the hater will concede. You know, I never really watched Bret Hart in his prime. You know, the hater wasn't watching wrestling back then. So I'm not going to pretend that I was this big Bret Hart knowledgeable guy and I can make these conclusions, you know, with full information. But I've seen enough, right? I've gone back to watch some of the matches. This is a guy whose finishing move was a sharpshooter, for God's sake. You know what I mean? This is not an exciting finishing move. He's not an exciting wrestler. Nothing about him screams superstar. And he's upset that Shawn Michaels, who is better than him at everything, that Shawn Michaels is getting the rub. It's like, of course Shawn Michaels is getting the rub. Look at you and look at Shawn Michaels. Have you lost your fucking mind? Then in WCW, he goes there. They tell him it's a big deal. He rides that a little bit. And then Goldberg injures him, which is obviously unfortunate. Nobody should hope for anyone to get injured. But it is an accident, right? The assertion that Goldberg wanted to injure him is another form of entitlement. He's like, oh, Goldberg wanted my spot. Like, are you retarded? Like, you really think that you have a bigger future than Goldberg? You think you'll ever be as big of a star as Goldberg? Look at you and look at Goldberg, motherfucks. It speaks for itself. And that's the problem that I have with this, right? When mediocrity is treated as excellence, like Jericho said in one of his promos, you get used to mediocrity and people tell you it's excellence. And then Jericho comes along and says, that's not excellence. Jericho is excellence. And now he was right about that. I mean, he was wrong about The Rock, obviously, but that's part of the whole heel shtick, right? The point is, we have these entitled retards walking around, not having any desire to prove themselves, not having any desire to improve as a result, and therefore not having any desire to do anything tangible for the company where someone might say, wow, thanks for doing that. The world is now your oyster. Like The Rock, for example, right? The Rock got a lot of opportunities and Vince gave The Rock a long leash, ultimately resulting in Vince not being with the company anymore and The Rock having much more power in modern WWE than Vince does, right? Obviously. Well, at least directly, right? The Rock was allowed to do movies because he's The Rock. And part of that has to do with the fact that he's undeniable. He's too big of a star to hold back, right? Because The Rock could quit WWE and you're kind of fucked. So you might as well just keep him on your good side so he can come back every few years and give you some WrestleManias, you know? Because even though you have Cena and Lesnar, like in the wings, and JBL and Guerrero and Booker T and Triple H and The Undertaker player, none of those guys are The Rock, if we're being 100% honest, right? So you want The Rock on your good graces. Now imagine if someone like Dean Ambrose or Swerve Strickland tries to do the same thing. First of all, they're going to fail miserably, right? In whatever endeavor they want, whether it be rap or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they're going to fail because they're not good at that shit, right? Now imagine if they're like, Tony Khan, if you don't let me like take 8 months off to pursue my rap career, then you're going to lose a talent. And at a certain point, Tony Khan's going to be like, Swerve, look, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not that big of a deal. But if Jericho wants to go on tour, well, you let Jericho go on tour because he's fucking Jericho. It's as simple as that, right? But the problem is, mediocres nowadays think that they're Jericho, think they should have the same careers, the same opportunities, and the same, success as Jericho just because they are who they are. And some people who are dumbasses, people that fundamentally don't understand wrestling, because if you don't understand wrestling, you are more susceptible to the lies of people like Dave Meltzer. Obviously, right? If you don't know what makes good wrestling, well, then you seek someone out to tell you what makes good wrestling. And some people are going to say, well, have you seen Hiromu Takanashi versus Daisuke, like Fataramushi, And you're going to be like, no, I haven't. Oh, it's a 5-star match. Oh, Andrade and Adam Cole is a 5-star match. Like, shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? Like, you can fool the dumbasses who came from anime. Like, their idea of a 5-star match is a match that closely mirrors Goku versus Piccolo. You know what I mean? That's what they think is a good fight, because they don't know anything about anything, right? They didn't watch wrestling when wrestling was good, character-driven, and interesting. See what I'm saying? Gimmick-based. Like, they didn't have that, so they don't know. And Bret Hart is one of those guys. And we have a word for these guys. It's called marks, right? It's people that start believing their own bullshit. That's what a mark is. Someone that falls for the gag. Someone that takes it seriously. Like Kevin Nash knows, right? He's known his entire career that there are very few men that can beat him up, right? Because he's nearly 7 foot tall and he's built like a fucking monster, right? He knows this, but that's it. He presents himself as that, and then he goes on and lives a normal life. He's not under these delusions of grandeur that he's the best ever. This is clear when you realize that his career has been about following the money. Why do you think that is? Well, I'll tell you why that is, right? He understands that eventually someone's going to call him out on his bullshit, that eventually he's going to age out, and eventually he might run into a Brock Lesnar who would murder him in 3 seconds, and he knows his role, right? And that's fine because this is a role-based industry, right? The idea was never like Kevin Nash knows he's not good in the ring, so that's why he does what he does. No, Kevin Nash understood that he's a massive draw because look at him. That's the answer, right? Kevin Nash is like massive. He's charismatic. He's a good-looking guy. Of course he's going to have a good career. Of course he's going to have a better career than Dean Malenko. You know what I'm saying? Who was bald at like 21. You know? Of course, and now he's like 5'1". Of course he's going to have a better career than Dean Malenko. But Dean Malenko can do a drop toe hold. Who gives a fuck? Nobody cares about that, right? Now the problem is, some people started believing their own shit. They're like, I can do a drop toe hold, therefore I'm better than Kevin Nash. You see this. This is a very interesting phenomenon that I will concede also exists in millennials like myself, right? There's people, I've heard people, they've done 3 weeks of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're like, man, now that I know Jiu-Jitsu, like they speak like they're fucking black belts. They're like, now that I know Jiu-Jitsu, like if Mike Tyson and I fought, I'd beat Mike Tyson. Here's what would happen. If Mike Tyson at any moment in his career, let alone when he was 20, came into your bullshit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dojo, he would eat everyone there, right? Including your fat ass teacher. Have you ever noticed how a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructors are just fat old men, right? It's not real if a fat old man can do it, motherfuckers. It's not a real form of combat. You know, oh, Grandmaster Elio, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Shut the fuck up. And that's the problem, right? People start buying into their own bullshit. And the biggest problem of this, at least as it pertains to wrestling, but also in real life, right? There's a lesson to be learned here as usual, motherfucks. The biggest problem is obviously that if you start buying into your own bullshit, you don't see the need to improve anymore, right? Jinder Mahal, I'll use him as a counterexample because I respect what he did, right? I respect what he did. Jinder Mahal, I mean, the steroids, allegedly, that's obviously not good, but that's his own choice, The fact is, Jinder Mahal understood, hey, I'm limited, right? I am Jinder Mahal. I am who I am. I wear a turban, and I come out pretending to be part of a band. That's my role in life at this point, right? He looks to his left, he sees fucking Daniel Bryan, who is his inferior in every way, right? And thinks to himself, wow, this guy's got it all handed to him. Then he looks to his left, and he sees Top Dollar, or, Swerve Strickland, Ashanti the Adonis. Maybe he sees Ikemen Jiro, remember Ikemen Jiro? Yoshitatsu, Buddy Murphy, people like that, and he thinks to himself, wow, these guys are on the same level as me or below, and they have none of the attributes that I have, and they're done trying, right? Well, not Buddy Murphy, because he did get jacked eventually, but you look at Swerve Strickland, you're like, this guy doesn't look like a wrestler, motherfucks. And he looks at this guy and he's like, wow, I'm competing against him. Well, aside from the fact that I am superior to him in every way, in terms of wrestling, how do I differentiate myself from him? I know, wow, I'm fired. Before he can implement this, gets fired, he leaves, goes to the indies, and then gets shredded. Like nobody's been shredded before. One of the biggest transformations of all time, to the point where he becomes undeniable. Well, I remember like it was today, the re-debut of Jinder Mahal. I'm like, what the fuck did this guy do to himself, right? It was so significant that you cannot deny it anymore, right? Where it is absurd to have someone like Jinder Mahal come out and have a match against like Heath Slater and not squash Heath Slater, right? Heath Slater, who had been there, he's the one that survived the firing of 3MB, right? But he stayed Heath Slater. He stayed chubby and uncharismatic, zero character. He was just another guy, right? Who thought he was part of a band. Now he's a one-man band, right? Jinder Mahal comes back, turban, but more importantly, jacked as shit. Mafia kicks him. That's the end of that match. And he puts people on notice. And more importantly than people, he put Vince McMahon on notice. But he also put me on notice. And my roommate, who just happened to walk in, he's like, what the fuck? Look at this guy. I'm like, exactly, bro. Look at him. Look at him and look at the other guy that he's going to lose to. Because I thought he was going to lose to Heath Slater. Because Jinder Mahal, he's a jobber. But I'm glad that he didn't. And he stood out. Nobody wants to stand out anymore. Nobody wants to work hard to become somebody that's worth standing out. You have a bunch of people who in real life act like MJF the character. You know, MJF's character is like, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I'm the salt of the earth. That's the whole point, right? He believes that, right? Maybe in real life too, but that's part of his character, right? The idea is, isn't it fucking obnoxious that this guy thinks so highly of himself? That's the whole point. It's kind of like a inferior version of The Miz, of Jericho, or of Kurt Angle, right? Where like Kurt Angle, he thinks he's like better than everybody. That's the whole Kurt Angle character, right? The fact that he was an Olympic gold medalist was secondary to the fact that this guy thinks he's better than you, right? Not just like athletically, obviously, but morally superior to you, right? And that's why he was presented as a heel. It's the same reason why MJF is presented as a heel. But then you have people like Hangman Adam Page who do the same exact thing. The only difference between Hangman and Swerve Strickland and the myriad of wrestlers that have the same exact gimmick and MJF is that at some point they say, I couldn't have done it without the fans. That's the only difference, because they say that and it gets some cheers and they are presented as a face, right? What's the difference between Kenny Omega, right, and MJF? Kenny Omega's entire thing is nobody gives me the props that I deserve, but I'm the best in the world. It's the same thing with CM Punk. The only difference is once in a while they say, like, I love the fans, and everyone loses their mind, right? MJF, when he does that, they lose their minds for him too. But that's the difference, right? These guys have no reason to improve. CM Punk was under the impression that he was good enough his entire career. And the fact is, people co-signed his bullshit. They led him to believe that he was a star on the same level, on the same caliber as people like Batista and Edge and Cena, right? Every once in a while, they would remind his ass that he's a mid-carder and have him team with R-Truth to win the tag team titles, or Kofi Kingston, or whatever the fuck it was. But generally speaking, he was under the impression that he was just as good as Cena, but he was held down. Cena can squat like 3-4 times more than you. Brock Lesnar would eat you alive. And he's like, I should get the same opportunities as Brock Lesnar. Why? You're not as good as Brock Lesnar. He'd kick your ass. If there was a meritocracy here, he'd kick your ass. Oh, I'm better in promos. So what? He'd kick your ass, right? I'm better at promos. You're only good at promos because you can say whatever the fuck you want and it's scripted and someone can just kick your ass and shut you up, right? He can go out there and he can be like, I'm straight edge. I don't work out. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't have much of a personality, but I'm straight edge, right? And then he comes out there skinny fat. He beats like fucking Snitsky. And then it's like, oh, now he's validated because he talked all that shit, but he backed it up. When obviously in reality, Snitsky would completely murder this guy in 3 seconds. You know, that's the problem, right? He didn't try to look the part. Same thing with Bret Hart. Now, Bret Hart, he was always in good shape, but he didn't try to do the other things that make him interesting, right? Like some people are built a certain way. Like Bret Hart is never going to have a Goldberg level physique unless he goes the Jinder Mahal route, right? Like Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar, right? No man can become Brock Lesnar except for maybe like Lashley. Even Goldberg cannot become Brock Lesnar. Even Batista cannot be like a Brock Lesnar, right? Because you get the sense that Brock Lesnar is like far more athletic than these guys, than Batista, for example, right? Like there's no doubt about it, you know? So what do? They try their best. Randy Orton continues to this very day to try his best to make a difference. Then you expect me to take Adam Cole seriously. When it was time for Triple H's stupid-ass experiment to come to an end, and Vince McMahon found himself with Adam Cole in the roster, he was like, okay, we're going to have Adam Cole be the manager of Keith Lee, because look at Keith Lee and look at Adam Cole. Adam Cole's like, no, I'm too good for that. No, you're not, motherfucker. No, you're not. You're like 130 pounds. Like, there is no universe in which Adam Cole can believably have a one-on-one match against Drew McIntyre or Orton or Jinder Mahal or Lashley or Lesnar. It's not conceivable, right? It's not conceivable. It's just laughable. But despite this, Adam Cole had aspirations of being a star. Why? Because you can do a leg lock? Nobody gives a shit. You can't do it believably to the Big Show, right? Everybody knows that if someone tries to do like anything to Mark Henry, you're only doing it if Mark Henry is letting you do it, right? But at the very least, you have to look the part. Like, Brock Lesnar can F5 Mark Henry if Mark Henry allows it, right? If he doesn't, there's no way. Mark Henry's stronger than Brock Lesnar. There's no way, motherfuckers. But at the very least, Mark Henry can look at Brock Lesnar and say, yeah, I can see this. I believe that you can, right? So I'm going to let you do it because it's all an act, right? Jinder Mahal tells a story where Big Show told him in a house show, you're going to body slam me. And he's like, what? He's like, you're going to body slam me, right? The Big Show, as a veteran, understood that Jinder Mahal has worked hard to look this way, and Big Show needs to help put over his hard work, right? There's no way, even if Big Show could body slam himself, he's not going to let, like, fucking Bobby Fish body slam him or Swerve Strickland body slam him. If they're talking about the match, here's what Big Show's going to say. He's going to be like, Swerve, you're going to do a kick to the head. I'm going to no-sell it. Then I'm going to slap you out of the air. I'm going to choke slam you 3 times. I'm going to put my foot over your chest, and that's it. That's what's going to happen. And if you don't want to go along with that, I'll do it to you in real life, motherfucker. I'll do it to you in real life. There's nothing you can do to stop me, right? That's the mentality that Big Show would probably have. Or Mark Henry. He'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, look at you. Look at you, Swerve Strickland, Adam Page. Are you kidding me? Like, 2-on-1. Like, the match should be Mark Henry versus those 2 guys 2-on-1. And this is how the match happens, right? They kick him. He no-sells it. Double clothesline. Double splash. Double world's strongest slam. Stack. Pin. That's how the match should end. But the problem is, the Adam Pages of the world, the Bret Harts of the world, the Swerve Stricklands of the world, they do not see things this way. They don't understand where they stack up, right? They don't understand where they fit in, as Jacob Fatu would say. They don't get it. They think that they're main event material. No, motherfucker. You are a comedy act in WWE. You are a failed rap group act in WWE. If you're Adam Page, you're an NXT act, motherfucker. You're an NXT guy who's gonna go trade wins and losses with someone like fucking Lexus King. That's who you are in NXT. And these people are like, man, I hope WWE signs Adam Page. And then the next thing they say is, oh, Vince is gonna drop the ball with Adam Page. Consider the possibility that Vince, the man who invented this form of art, of presentation, consider just the possibility, entertain the chance that Vince might understand this better than you, considering that he invented it and sold it to you and made you a fan. Consider that possibility. And when Vince McMahon says, no, Adam Page is gonna come here and we're gonna put him against like fucking Eddie Thorpe, they're gonna have a meaningless 20-minute second match, and then when the time comes, they're gonna be in a main event type situation. It's gonna be a battle royal, and someone like fucking Rusev is gonna come in and throw them both out in seconds. That's what's gonna happen, right? The same thing we saw. That one famous Royal Rumble with like, I think the one that Batista won, right? Where people were like, I can't believe that Dolph Ziggler was eliminated by Kane. What, are you retarded? Like, what do you think would happen in real life? In real life, like Kane would eliminate him in 3 seconds. Ziggler is lucky, I'm sure he understands this, Ziggler is lucky that Kane allowed him to be there for a few minutes. This is a courtesy, motherfuckers. Like, Big Show and Kane eliminating Dolph Ziggler and people like CM Punk and R-Truth is a courtesy for letting them even get a shot in. Because if Big Show wanted to, right, no man is throwing Big Show out of the ring. No man alive, not even Brock Lesnar. Are you kidding me? Not like, if Great Khali doesn't want to leave the ring, he's not leaving the ring. If Mark Henry doesn't want to leave the ring, he's not leaving the ring. Mark Henry, though, is willing to lay on his back and have Daniel Bryan headbutt him into a victory, into a laughable victory, right? And he's willing to do it, and Daniel Bryan then starts thinking, well, I am a star. I am a main eventer. It's like, shut the fuck up. No, you're not. And you should know better than this. You should know that this is a concession that is being given to you for absolutely no reason, if you ask me, right? Because you're never going to draw a dime for real. You're going to be gone in a few weeks after this. See what I'm saying? That's the problem. There are people that try to improve themselves. And there's still a few of them left. There's a few gangsters left, like Sheamus. Sheamus comes out there every week, tries to put on a good match, despite being like in his 40s, right? Even someone like Kofi Kingston, like he's not as good, right, as other wrestlers. Kofi Kingston's never going to be like a Shawn Michaels or Kurt Angle in-ring guy. But he tries. He tries to do crazy shit. Oftentimes it leads to a botch. But I got to give him an A for effort. Right? Look at Lashley. Look at Shelton Benjamin. Kind of old school guys, not exactly, but not like in the same, school, if you will, as Daniel Bryan and fucking Swerve Strickland. Like, there is no reason why Shelton Benjamin should have a better physique. There's no reason why R-Truth should have a better physique, right? There's no reason why any of these guys or Triple H in his late 40s should have a better physique than fucking Daniel Bryan, or a better physique than, I don't know, Swerve Strickland, or a better physique than anybody else from the indies that looks like shit, like Kevin Owens. There's no reason why Shelton Benjamin should look better than Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. There's no reason. Or Jacob Fatu. There is no reason why these guys who have already had the bulk of their careers and have that behind them, right? There's no reason why Lashley should be more believable than the new big star they're trying to push, like Jacob Fatu. There's no reason why. How about instead, you tell Jacob Fatu to get off his fat ass and hit the gym a few times? Oh, I can do a moonsault. It's not enough. I don't care if you can do a moonsault. Lashley would pulverize you in 3 seconds. I don't care if you can do a super kick. Drew McIntyre would eat you alive. And more importantly, one of the people in one of my comments was like, they should push like Melo, Trick, Oba, all these NXT jobbers, right? And like he was like, because people are too caught up in the past. And I'm like, it's not the past. Like Lesnar was at the pay-per-view like 2 weeks ago. He's not the past. Lesnar is the present now. And it's inexcusable that Lesnar in his mid-40s, everyone that he just mentioned, Lesnar would eat them alive in 3 seconds each. Lesnar would destroy Obafemi right now. Obafemi's in his late 20s. Lesnar would beat the shit out of him in seconds if he wanted to. And if he can beat Obafemi, forget about like fucking Trick Williams and Melo. He would eat those guys in seconds. You know what I mean? This is right now. Like, forget comparing them to 25-year-old Lesnar, which would not even be like, they're not even the same category of human. Not even the same species as the alpha male of our species, right? I'm saying compare him to Brock Lesnar now. Are you kidding me? It's night and day. Compare them to Cena now. It's night and day. These people put in the work. Lesnar, you can say what you want about him. He's a part-timer. He always looks great. He always comes out there, looks badass, looks believable, and then he picks up everybody like they're 3 pounds and just F5s the shit out of them. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he did that in his 20s, in his 30s, and in his 40s. You see how easily he picked up Cena? Right? He picked him up like it was nothing because he's still Lesnar, even in his 40s. Right? And then you're like, oh, but Obafemi does a funny pose, and then he gets pinned by 3 DDTs from Ricky Saints, who, like Brock Lesnar, would shit out. Are you kidding me? One of the smart ones, wrote a comment. They said, like, Ricky Saints beating Obafemi would be like Kofi Kingston beating Brock Lesnar, except Brock Lesnar beat Kofi in 10 seconds. Some people work hard, and some people don't. And sometimes, it just so happens that someone like Lesnar works hard, someone like Kofi might work a little bit harder, but there are other discrepancies, right? There are other human limitations. There are differences in physiology. Lesnar, no matter how hard Kofi Kingston works, he'll never be like a Brock Lesnar, right? And not just him, me either. You know, no matter how much time I spend in the gym, I'll never be like a Brock Lesnar. I could take horse steroids. I'll never be like Brock Lesnar, you understand? There are limits to what we are capable of. And the people with higher limits are naturally going to have better success in a situation where those higher limits are relevant, right? It doesn't matter if Brock Lesnar can lift more than me, right? I'm probably more intelligent, I would guess. Not to say anything about Brock, but I'm pretty smart, and, you know, I don't know if Brock is, right? Like, let's say he's average. I'm definitely above average. At least, motherfucks. So you see what I'm saying? We all have our strengths and weaknesses. And it's unreasonable to look at someone's strengths, lack those strengths, like Bret Hart, like Swerve, like fucking Adam Page, like MJF, like these nobodies, right? These people that can't sell out a flea market. It's unreasonable for them who lack these skills to look at someone like Shawn Michaels, to look at someone like Brock Lesnar or Cena or Booker T or Randy Orton and say, I want to be as successful as them. Well, I'm sorry. Hit the gym, motherfuckers. Hit the gym. If that's not gonna get you there, then hit the mic. Learn how to talk better than them, right? Learn how to be better than them at something so that someone can hang their hat on you and say, okay, look, this guy, we get it. Like CM Punk, for example, right? You gotta give him some props, right? He bullshitted his way to the top, but he's at the top. Seth Rollins, I don't know what he did. I don't know who he had to blow, right? But he's at the top, right? Yeah, he's at the top today. Obviously, in the Attitude Era, he'd be jobbing to Al Snow on Sunday Night Heat. Like, we think we all know that. Like if Seth Rollins was around in the Attitude Era, he'd be like trading the hardcore title with Crash Holly on like in between segments on Raw. He'd be like a Chuck E. Cheese getting pinned by Crash Holly. That's what would happen if he was there. He'd be jobbing to China, right? And not jobbing to China like in a pay-per-view. He'd be like the guy that China beats on Raw to prove she deserves the title shot against Jeff Jarrett. That's who he would be, if we're being honest, right? That's exactly what would happen. He sucks, but he made it to the top in this day and age. And the people like Isaiah Swerve Strickland, the people like Hangman Adam Page or MJF, they're not even good enough to take Seth Rollins' spot, let alone these ridiculous aspirations of, oh, I want the same success as The Rock. You will never have it. MJF will never be as big as The Rock. He doesn't have what it takes. And that's fine. Neither do I, motherfucks. A lot of people don't have what it takes to be The Rock. The Rock is literally one in a billion. Like, The Rock is a very exceptional human being. Even now that he sucks, he is an exceptional human being. So this aspiration to be like him, while it is notable, it is honorable, and it is appreciated, right? It has to be accompanied by the dedication and work that is required to do this, right? The Rock looked like The Rock did, and despite this, he decided to be the best guy on the mic. Like, now compare that to Swerve Strickland. He looks nothing like The Rock, right? He's like 1/3 The Rock size. And then, despite being inferior to The Rock in this way, you'd think, wow, this guy really is going to step it up on the mic. He's like 1/10,000th as good as The Rock on the mic, right? He's inferior to him in the two important things of wrestling. The only thing he's better than The Rock at is just saying he's good, right? Even that he's not better than The Rock at saying it. But he says it a lot with some weird level of confidence that is hard to pinpoint because he doesn't have what it takes. So that's fundamentally what it comes down to, you know? The Bret Hart situation is just an example, right? This is a problem that permeates to modern day. The same way that Bret Hart thought he was better than Hulk Hogan, which everybody knows he wasn't, right? Kevin Owens thinks he's better than like fucking, John Cena, right? He comes out there, he's like, Cena, I'm more of a veteran than you are. No, it doesn't matter. Cena's better than you. Cena's better than Owens at wrestling in every capacity, in the ring, on the mic, and everything. So, that being said, motherfuckers, you take this for what it is. And then after that, you'd go and fuck your own ass as